The Warner Brothers conference room was supposed to be a celebration. Ryan Gosling had just signed on for Barbie 2, with a deal that would make him one of the highest-paid actors in Hollywood. The champagne was poured, the contracts were signed, and director Greta Gerwig was already discussing her vision for Ken's expanded role. But then Michael DeLuca, Warner Bros. CEO, received a call that changed everything. "Put it on speaker," DeLuca said, his celebratory mood evaporating as he recognized the number. The voice that filled the room was unmistakable, Hugh Jackman, speaking with an edge that none of them had heard before. "Michael, we need to talk about Ryan's casting. I'm hearing disturbing things about Barbie 2, and I think you're making a mistake that could cost the studio dearly." Gosling, still holding his champagne glass, felt the room temperature drop. Greta Gerwig looked confused. The executives exchanged nervous glances. What happened next would expose one of Hollywood's most shocking acts of professional sabotage. "Hugh, this isn't your project," DeLuca responded carefully. "Ryan's been fantastic." "Has he?" Hugh interrupted, his Australian accent carrying a threat that made everyone freeze. "Because I have some information that might change your mind." "Information about Ryan's? Let's call them creative differences on previous sets. And Michael, you know I'm considering the Wolverine return. It would be a shame if I had to reconsider because the studio is making poor casting choices elsewhere." The line went dead. In that luxurious conference room, surrounded by Barbie's billion-dollar success posters, Ryan Gosling realized his supposed friend had just declared war. What he didn't know yet was that Hugh had been planning this for months, using his Marvel connections and industry influence to orchestrate the most calculated betrayal in recent Hollywood history. Before we dive into this shocking tale of jealousy, sabotage, and the dark side of Hollywood's nice guys, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. This story will forever change how you see these beloved actors. Comment below. Did Hugh Jackman go too far? The roots of this conflict traced back to 2017, when both Hugh Jackman and Ryan Gosling were at career crossroads. Hugh had just finished Logan, his supposed final performance as Wolverine, while Ryan was riding high on La La Land's success. They had always been friendly, often praising each other in interviews, attending the same events, playing up their Canadian connection for the press. But beneath the surface, a professional rivalry had been simmering. Hugh, at 54, was watching younger actors like Ryan, 42, inherit the roles and franchises that were once his domain. The turning point came when Ryan was offered a role in a musical project that Hugh had been quietly developing for years. Hugh never forgave Ryan for the Greatest Showman situation, revealed a former CIA agent. Hugh had been developing a similar concept, and when Ryan's project got fast-tracked while Hugh stalled, something changed in their relationship. The Barbie phenomenon of 2023 intensified everything. While Hugh's latest projects had received mixed responses, Ryan's portrayal of Ken became a cultural sensation. The contrast was stark, Hugh doing respectable but forgettable dramas while Ryan was having a career renaissance in a pink sports car. You could see it in Hugh's eyes during award season, a Hollywood insider noted. Every time someone mentioned Barbie, every time Ryan's "I'm Just Ken" performance went viral, Hugh's smile got a little tighter. He kept making jokes about it, but they had an edge. When Warner Brothers announced they were fast-tracking Barbie 2 with Ryan reprising his role as Ken in an expanded capacity, Hugh saw an opportunity. Marvel had been courting him for months about returning as Wolverine for Deadpool 3 and potentially Secret Wars. He had leverage and he decided to use it. The plan began with subtle whispers. Hugh's team started planting stories about Ryan being difficult on the Barbie set. Anonymous sources claimed he had demanded excessive script changes, clashed with Margot Robbie, and held up production with method acting experiments. None of it was true, Greta Gerwig would later confirm. Ryan was professional, creative, and collaborative. But suddenly, these stories were everywhere. The real bombshell came from a leaked Zoom call from October 2023. Hugh, thinking he was speaking privately with Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige, laid out his ultimatum. "Hugh, Kevin, I'm ready to come back as Wolverine. But I need to be honest, I can't share the spotlight with certain actors who don't respect the craft." Feige: "Hugh, what are you talking about?" Hugh: "Ryan Gosling. He's being positioned as the next big franchise face. Barbie 2 potential Marvel projects. Kevin, the man is a tourist in our world. He mocks the process with his Kenny performances." Feige: "Kenny? You mean Ken?" Hugh: "Whatever. The point is, if Disney wants Wolverine back, they need to show they value real actors, not pretty boys riding pink waves. Warner Brothers needs to understand that too." The recording, made by a Marvel assistant for meeting notes, captured Hugh's increasing venom as he continued. "I've been in this business 30 years. I've bled for these roles, literally. And now Ryan prances around in a fake tan and becomes Hollywood's darling? If he's the future, maybe Wolverine stays dead." What Hugh didn't realize was that Disney and Warner Brothers had recently strengthened their relationship through various co-productions and licensing deals. His attempt to leverage one studio against another would backfire spectacularly. DeLuca, after receiving Hugh's threatening call, immediately reached out to his contacts at Disney. What he discovered shocked him. Hugh had been making similar calls to every major studio, warning them about working with Ryan Gosling. It was a coordinated campaign, a studio executive revealed. Hugh was using his relationships, his reputation as Hollywood's nicest guy, to poison the well. He'd call executives ostensibly to catch up, then express concerns about Ryan's professionalism. The evidence of sabotage mounted. Email trails showed Hugh's manager reaching out to trade publications with anonymous tips about Ryan. A WhatsApp group of Australian actors in Hollywood, which Hugh administered, contained messages where he encouraged others to be careful working with Ryan, citing fabricated incidents. The most damaging revelation came from Hugh's own team. His assistant, horrified by what she was witnessing, secretly recorded a strategy meeting. "Hugh, what's the status on the Variety piece?" Manager, "They're hesitant to run it without attribution." Hugh, "Then find someone who worked on Barbie to go on record. Someone minor, someone who needs the attention." Manager, "Hugh, if this traces back to us." Hugh, "It won't. I'm beloved, remember? No one would believe nice Hugh Jackman capable of this. That's our advantage." The assistant also captured Hugh practicing phone calls where he would express concern about Ryan. "I'm just worried about the production, you know? I heard from someone, I can't say who, that Ryan was making demands talking about taking over the franchise. You know I only care about what's best for the studio." The calculated nature of the sabotage was chilling. Hugh had workshopped different approaches, even practicing his concerned voice to sound more authentic. Meanwhile, Ryan initially had no idea what was happening. He noticed cooling relationships with some executives, saw the negative stories in the trades, but attributed it to typical Hollywood politics. It wasn't until a friend at Marvel warned him that he realized the source. Ryan was devastated, his manager revealed. Hugh had been someone he respected, someone he considered a friend. To discover this calculated betrayal broke something in him. Ryan's team hired investigators to trace the negative stories. What they uncovered was a web of manipulation that shocked even Hollywood veterans. Hugh had paid a social media firm to create negative sentiment about Ryan's Barbie performance. Contacted directors Ryan was in talks with, expressing concerns. Used his Broadway connections to block Ryan from a musical project. Leveraged his charity relationships to exclude Ryan from high-profile events. But Hugh's biggest miscalculation was underestimating Ryan's response. Instead of fighting back immediately, Ryan and his team quietly gathered evidence. They obtained the Zoom recording with Kevin Feige, the assistant's recordings of strategy sessions, email trails showing coordination of negative press, financial records of payments to PR firms, testimony from executives Hugh had contacted. When Ryan finally struck back, it was decisive. He scheduled a meeting with Warner Brothers, Disney, and several other major studio heads. Instead of making accusations, he simply played the recordings and presented the evidence. The room's reaction was immediate and severe. These executives had been manipulated, used as pawns in Hugh's personal vendetta. The betrayal of trust was unforgivable in an industry built on relationships. "We've all been played," one executive said. "Hugh used our respect for him as a weapon." The Feige recording was particularly damaging. Marvel, preparing for Phase 6, couldn't afford association with this kind of behavior. Within hours, Hugh's potential Wolverine return was off the table. Marvel's brand is built on the cast being a family, an insider explained. Hugh trying to sabotage another actor for personal gain? That's antithetical to everything Marvel represents. Warner Bros.' response was swift. Not only was Barbie 2 confirmed with Ryan, but they offered him a first-look deal worth $50 million. It was both a vote of confidence and an apology for nearly falling for Hugh's manipulation. Hugh's team went into crisis mode when the news broke. His initial response was denial. "These allegations are completely false. I have nothing but respect for Ryan Gosling and would never engage in such behavior." But as more evidence emerged, including the recorded phone calls and emails, the denials became impossible to maintain. The entertainment media, initially skeptical that nice guy Hugh Jackman could do such things, was forced to confront the evidence. The industry backlash was severe. Directors who had worked with Hugh expressed shock and disappointment. Peter Jackson, who had been considering Hugh for a project, publicly stated, "Trust is everything in this business. What Hugh did violates that fundamental principle." Ryan Reynolds, Hugh's Deadpool 3 co-star and fellow Commonwealth actor, was particularly vocal. "I thought I knew Hugh. We all did. But using your reputation to destroy someone else's career? That's not the man I thought I was working with." The Australian acting community, which Hugh had long been a leader of, distanced themselves. Nicole Kidman, typically diplomatic, said, "This isn't the Australian way. We support each other, we don't tear each other down." Hugh's charity work, long a cornerstone of his public image, suffered as organizations questioned their association. The irony was palpable. The man who had built a career on being likable had destroyed it through unlikable actions. In a desperate attempt at damage control, Hugh released a video apology. But it only made things worse. "I let competitiveness override friendship. I saw Ryan's success and felt threatened. At my age, seeing younger actors succeed where I was struggling. I'm not making excuses, just trying to explain how I lost my way." The admission confirmed what many suspected. This was about aging, relevance, and the fear of being replaced. Hugh's nice guy persona had masked deep insecurities about his place in the changing Hollywood landscape. Ryan's response was characteristically classy but pointed. "I'm disappointed by Hugh's actions, but I'm more saddened by what they represent. The fear that there isn't room for all of us to succeed. There is. Success isn't finite. Someone else's win doesn't diminish your own achievements." He added, "I hope Hugh gets the help he needs to address these insecurities. As for me, I'm excited about Barbie 2 and grateful for the support from the studio and fans." The financial impact on Hugh was immediate. His upcoming projects faced scrutiny. Brands associated with him pulled back. His speaking fees, once premium, evaporated. The man who had been one of Hollywood's most bankable stars became a cautionary tale. Meanwhile, Ryan's star rose even higher. The story of how he handled the betrayal, with evidence, dignity, and class, enhanced his reputation. Directors who might have been influenced by Hugh's whisper campaign now actively sought Ryan out. "Ryan showed us who he really is," Greta Gerwig commented. "Not just a great actor, but someone with integrity who handles adversity with grace." The Barbie 2 announcement became a celebration not just of the franchise but of truth prevailing over manipulation. The film's tagline, "Ken believes in himself," took on new meaning given recent events. Industry changes followed the scandal. Studios implemented new policies about verifying negative information about talent. The whisper campaign tactics Hugh had employed became explicitly prohibited in many contracts. The saga took another turn when more victims came forward. Other actors revealed similar experiences with Hugh: subtle sabotage, blocked opportunities, whispered doubts. A pattern emerged of Hugh protecting his territory through manipulation rather than talent. Chris Pine revealed, "After I was considered for a role Hugh wanted, suddenly directors were hearing I was difficult. It took years to shake that reputation. Now I know where it came from." The Marvel decision proved particularly costly. Secret Wars, set to be the biggest MCU event yet, would have paid Hugh $75 million for Wolverine's return. Instead, the role was reimagined, with Marvel making a pointed statement about values aligning with talent. In a final irony, Hugh's actions created the opposite of his intention. Ryan Gosling became more sought after than ever, his integrity in handling the situation making him Hollywood's most wanted leading man. The Barbie franchise expanded beyond films into streaming series, theme parks, and more, all with Ryan as the central figure. A year later, Hugh attempted a comeback with a small indie film. The reviews were kind, critics separated the art from the artist, but the audience stayed away. The man who had been beloved worldwide was now a reminder of how wrong we can be about public personas. In his final public statement on the matter, Hugh reflected, "I spent so long playing heroes that I forgot how to be one in real life. I let fear drive me to betray every principle I claimed to stand for. Ryan didn't deserve what I did. No one would. I'm in therapy, trying to understand how I became someone I don't recognize." The therapy revelation highlighted the deeper issues: the pressure of aging in Hollywood, the fear of irrelevance, the toxic masculinity disguised as competition. Hugh's fall became a teaching moment for an industry grappling with these issues. Ryan, for his part, moved forward without looking back. When asked if he could forgive Hugh, he simply said, "Forgiveness is for the person giving it, not receiving it. I've moved on. I hope Hugh finds peace." The Barbie 2 premiere became a symbolic moment. Ryan walked the pink carpet not just as Ken, but as someone who had faced professional adversity and emerged stronger. The film's success, surpassing even the original, felt like cosmic justice. Meanwhile, Hugh watched from afar, his invitation conspicuously absent. The man who had tried to destroy Ryan's moment had instead cemented it. In trying to sabotage Barbie, he had only made Ken stronger. The story became Hollywood legend, a cautionary tale about jealousy, aging, and the danger of believing your own public image. Film schools taught it as a case study in professional ethics. Actors learned that niceness without authenticity is just another performance. In the end, the pink dream house stood while the adamantium claws rusted. Ryan Gosling's Ken had defeated Hugh Jackman's Wolverine not through strength, but through truth. And in Hollywood, as in life, the truth eventually surfaces, even when it's wearing a fur coat and singing about being just Ken. The final image was poetic. Ryan Gosling accepting an award for Barbie 2, thanking everyone who believed in him, especially when others tried to convince you otherwise. The camera caught Hugh watching from his home, alone, his empire of niceness collapsed around him. Because in the end, being genuinely nice beats playing nice every time. And Ken, it turns out, knew that all along. If this shocking betrayal between two of Hollywood's nicest actors stunned you, subscribe for more explosive entertainment industry revelations. Comment below, can Hugh Jackman ever redeem himself? Remember, in Hollywood, your reputation is everything, and it only takes one recorded call to lose it all.